This is William Drosk here with Home Business Central there. It's like having issues with like my website there with the SSL ticket. So the alternative website you can check out is privatewebfocus.com. You can probably contact me there. But the thing I'm going to be bringing up is the thing with the Maui fires and things like probably an investigation, and there's some people just jumping to like the conclusions and just rushing to the judgment there, and they're like buying and the mainstream media narrative on why the fires like are happening, and things being like discussed there as truth bombs is the thing I'm going to bring up with Chris McDonald and James R. Interview, which they haven't really are not grasping like there's direct energy weapons like possible use, and other sophisticated type of warfare being used on the citizens of the world. The thing is, disappointed is that thing with the hurricanes, as the weather warfare. Like there's manipulation going on with the weather, as well with manipulation and politics, as well with the voting, as well with many other things. I'm going to be providing like quite a few video clips there, which they're going to be bringing us. The hurricane that was like going off with the high winds, and there's just like there's so many anomalies they haven't really beginning to cover, which it's no surprise to me there that this person is kind of losing a great deal of credibility on buying and just such nonsense. Look what happened with California with the forest fires there with the sand and the winds there. But the blaming on just like a power line is just absolutely absurd. There's like weather manipulation. There's direct energy weapons there, and the thing is like with the fires that's going on with in Canada is like there with the weather warfare. But the thing is, like, going to bring up the Hurricane Katrina. Like there's like a lot of anomalies there that possibly that could have been generated or strengthened, or the hurricane was manipulated some way. It's like and like it was like pointed right towards New Orleans. And the thing is, I'm going to bring up Hurricane Sandy that hit the East Coast there. And there's like some anomalies I'm going to bring up there. It was like just like months before, like these scientists or these other people ran like a sort of like a hurricane drill. It was like the exact same storm, the exact same name, and it took the exact same path there that hit the East Coast there. And it was dubbed when originally the hurricane hit there with the Hurricane Sandy. It was dubbed the Frankenstorm. But I digress.
And I have a functional brain, as only James R. can say. I love it. And then he did this at Poop Tossing Ape. I'm not even going to ask who Poop Tossing Ape is. But he says taking advantage may come down the road. There may be ghouls in the government already thinking about how to take advantage of the tragedy, but that is not the same as creating the tragedy. Very wise wisdom from the one and only James R. Buddy, question, $1 million question. You're there on the island. Now, you're not on Maui, but you're right next door. Separate fact from fiction, what you're hearing out there compared to what you know what's happening. And I know that, James, I think we're going to both agree on this, that we're not dumb. Me and you are not dumb people. We don't believe that there's not nefarious people in the government. We don't believe there's not nefarious people out there that would do some crazy, wicked, evil stuff, bro. We've been together 7 years doing stuff and shows together. We've seen some evil, wicked stuff. You know, we've heard about some evil, wicked stuff. But some of this stuff gets to the point people start speculating and throwing crap on the wall about it. And there's so much confusion about it. And I'm just sort of sick of it. And that's one reason I sort of reached out to you. It couldn't have come at a perfect time. Because, you know, I said, I finally read somebody that's got a functional brain for a change. Talk to us about what's fact and fiction about the McFIles.
I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, I've done many spaces, a couple podcasts as well. I've been covering this story with people, real people, on the ground, eyewitnesses, eyewitness cell phone video. All of my information is being verified by the government, not the other way around. So that's very important here, is because, you know, since day one, I've tried to explain what we know in our minds happened. Now, let me put it out to you like this. First, I'm going to give you what my narrative is on the chain of events, and then I'll kind of cover a couple of the more illustrious, we'll call them, conspiracy theories through your questions and whatnot. So basically what we're fairly certain of is that the power lines went down, sparking a fire. The reason I say that, we have a guy runs out of his house, there's the down power line, there's the fire. And he says, wow, power line just went out, there's a fire. So that's number one. Number two is the conditions and the topography on the ground is where people make a huge mistake, is not understanding that the conditions on the ground were such that we had downwinds, in other words, coming straight down the face of those mountains to the east of Lahaina at a sustained over 60 miles an hour. There's some speculation between 60 and 80 miles an hour. So I'm just going to use the lower number of 60 miles per hour coming straight down the face of that mountain, going straight to the ocean, straight through Lahaina. This created a blowtorch effect. The fires were moving at 60 feet per second. Their firefighters themselves ended up surrounded by fire. They were trying their best to make a couple of different setback points, and every time they made a new stand, that new stand ended up, the fire would move past them before they could even get out of harm's way. So this was very quick moving fire, blowtorch stuff. Lahaina itself was the entire town full of very old, dry wood electrical poles that were soaked in flammable liquid. I'll remind everybody, because whether you choose creosote or pitch, both of those are flammable material. As well as all of the dwellings, very many of them were 1800s, early 1900s building with zero setback and no easement between properties. So this is what creates some very dynamic fire conditions. So you had that blowtorch event that basically went straight through Lahaina, straight to the ocean. Now, I want to be clear for your audience, because I've covered this since day one. We know, and this is nothing's being hidden on these facts that a lot of people are saying are being hidden. They're not. Okay, we know there's over 1,000 people missing still.
Right.
We're fairly certain they're all dead.
Okay.
This includes massive amounts of children. We know for a fact entire families were incinerated together in their own living room. Parents, grandparents, children, everybody. We know there was entire families incinerated in their vehicles. We know that this occurred, okay? So nobody's hiding it. We're trying to keep people out of Lahaina because those ashes are our dead relatives. This is going to be, when this is all said and done, a top 10 worst fire in the entire history of the United States. Okay, that's how serious and significant this fire is. The official death toll will likely be over 500, but probably there's going to be, you know, those other 400 people perpetually missing because they're not going to be able to identify them because there's nothing to identify. There's a couple of charred remains, and that's just the facts. This is a very, very bad situation that occurred. Now, there's another thing that should quell a lot of the conspiracy theories is that I want people to really understand that the officials in the government lost their homes and family members too. The police, the fire. And I want to explain this because I think I have, but I think I've set it up correctly for everybody to understand. But let me put this in context. The people of Maui are not going to allow anything to occur in Lahaina that they don't want to occur. And I can illustrate this in a couple different ways, but I'll choose the telescope on the Big Island. People spent $1 billion on a telescope, and those people said, nah, you ain't building it. I don't care. I don't care that you've already spent $1 billion. It ain't going up. And it ain't up, let me tell you. So I want you to understand that the warrior spirit here of the people, they're not going to let foreigners take predatory actions and take their land and do whatever they want with it. Now, the governor took that sentiment and he said something very stupid. And he said, we're not going to let foreign investors come in and take in a predatory manner our people's land, so the state will take it itself. And maybe we'll turn it into green spaces and a memorial to the lives lost here. Those words are being taken as, see, the government killed everybody, the government's taking the land, and they're going to build 15-minute cities. I promise you this, and I will bet my reputation on this 100%, that they're not building no 15-minute city in Lahaina. Because the people of Maui are not going to let a 15-minute city get built there. Gotcha. It's not going to happen. So that was the first stepping on his potato. Then the second stepping on his potato was the very next press conference, because he says, the AG has informed me we can't interfere with these private transactions. So now what I'll promise you is that the state will not be issuing any permits to people who bought the land. Well, now he's stepping on his potato again. Right. That ain't American. You're telling me the government is going to interfere with private business again. Like, it's my property. It's our land. We get to do what we want, not you. And so when you look at the overall actions of the government, they're problematic because you hired retards. This is what people know. When you put retards in office, you're going to get retarded actions.
Sort of like the American government, right?
Well, then, so once again, people are just in denial about the 15-minute cities, which, they're getting their news sources, and they're relying on, the Snopes, debunking websites. But by and large, this is just unreal. Of course, finally got my website SSL renewed, but I was having trouble. But by and large, just way back then, and back when I was on Rise network, this is before the Facebook days, where there's called a forum called Truth Seekers. Even though they call themselves Truth Seekers, they're anything but finding and looking for the truth. For it was liberalism and liberal ideology that they embraced, as well as innuendos, false statements, and lies, and fake news for the narrative. And this is going to be like substantiated by Peter Boas, who's also on Facebook there, which I'll put the link in the description. But the reason why I'm not going to be following or even giving any kind of funding for Christopher McDonald of the McFIles, is this guy has like history of having guests that are just really compromised on their belief system there, let alone like on embracing aspects of Roman Catholicism, with these people are just worse than Holocaust deniers. And it's like the things I don't recommend is like giving like this person any kind of money there, because he's pretty much in error, and the guy's in sin due to the excessive cussing on his live streams of his show with guests that are just really not in like based or like on any kind of reality. With the 15-minute cities, they do exist. The denial is just like it's really a part of the problem. So James R. with the like saying like they're not going to be building the 15-minute city there. How do you explain like these millionaires and billionaires buying up property that's already burned out before the ashes settle? Of course, the agenda is like with probably 2030 there. 2030? Agenda 2030 could be like, I mean, it's like buying up property just to make it like some kind of like a national park or like some kind of memorial there. But there's like nefarious things going on as well with the government there. This is like William Drosy reminding you to shake the money tree and share this video far and wide there.